how about everyone around you has a flying car too? Oh.
Some of the most brilliant engineers on the planet are racing to make science fiction-esque flying cars a reality. None of them are yet ready to fly you over Manhattan, but most promising companies say they are getting very close. While we patiently wait to take our first car flight, let's have a look at the firms that are hustling to get our cars in the sky. Number 12. Aeromobile's prototype. Slovakia-based Aeromobile remains devoted to delivering a functioning flying car that will possibly be a supercar with powers. It's on its 4th model, so you surely know that they're not scamming us here. The firm has a lot of concept car to present the car in its final form. It is one of the most distinguished hybrid models in the works. Unlike true VOLTS, hybrid flying cars are expected to take off like a plane, but also can morph into a car-like vehicle to run on the road. This system demands retractable wheels and wings with a very effective drivetrain. Aeromobile is channeling time and money into the construction of an electric powertrain. It prominently combined forces with organizations like Starbust and Aerospace Accelerator to assist it to reach its aim. Number 11. Airbus Vahana. Project Vahana from Airbus attempts to build an electric VTOL aircraft that is completely self-piloted. There are several advantages to the self-piloting design. It can save expenses when it comes to employing and training pilots, and software engineers now have plenty of expertise building autopilot systems for bigger planes that can be applied to these VTOLs. It's also an excellent way to run a taxi service since the carriers automatically return to hubs for maintenance or take a separate route based on current orders. In early 2018, the Vahana model had its first victorious full-scale flight test. It wasn't much. The 20-foot aircraft merely rose 16 feet in the air and lingered there for 53 seconds. However, it did this completely with autopilot technology. Airbus has traveled about 50 test flights ever since, and it is said it was on track for a 2020 debut, but its programs might have improved. We're still expecting an update on this project. Number 10. Kitty Hawk's flying prototype. We're looking ahead to Kitty Hawk's Flyer, and CEO Sebastian Thrun announced it was as easy to use as playing Minecraft. But the design was dropped in June 2020 because the corporation learned what it demanded from it. The company is currently concentrating on larger winged aircraft called Heaviside, with a 100-mile range at 180 miles per hour top speed. It will be able to fly over cities, but there are no details when we'll see it in action. Number 9. Volocopter 2X. The Volocopter 2X design is grand, and it looks remarkably refreshing. Developed in Germany, it highlights 18 battery-powered rotors managed via a single joystick. We say that the entire thing isn't very realistic, but the firm made a full-size test prototype and ran it over the stage at CES 2018, thanks to a tiny sponsorship by Intel. The 2X can accommodate 2 passengers. It has a flying time of 30 minutes and a reach of 17 miles between charge centers. Intel's work on the design includes complex tech such as 4 autonomous sensor units to manage positioning, 9 distinct electric battery packs with built-in redundancies, and even a parachute placed on the roof of the vehicle in case something goes faulty. It is no surprise Volocopter is Dubai's newest pick for its future air taxi fleet. Volocopter revealed the 2X by taking it on 2-minute aviation above Singapore in 2019. Number 8. Moog Shorefly. The Shorefly is a sturdy VTOL directed at economic operators and customers looking for an enduring, self-controlled flight experience. It was developed by Workhorse, but the corporation sold its aviation wing to Moog for $4 million back in 2019. After multi-million-dollar losses, Digital Trend recognizes that Shorefly's development resumes. The air carrier has 8 propellers and a high speed of 75 miles per hour. Unlike other VTOLs, it runs on gasoline, and a battery pack will grant an extra 10 minutes of flying course if required. The initial variant will be able to accommodate about 400 pounds of cargo, although a major heavy-duty version competent of carrying up to 650 pounds is presently in development, both of which have caught the American military's attention. The Shorefly needs to be simple to run. Just 2 handles are in the aircraft, a joystick to regulate the direction, and a throttle controller on the pilot's door. Number 7. Opener Blackfly. Originating from Canadian firm Opener, the Blackfly is a unique VTOL that fuses personal piloting with a means of automatic features including auto landing and automatic return home functions, thus allowing flight without the requirement for formal licensing. Regardless of the design, Blackfly operates via a familiar method. 8 drone-like rotors are positioned across 2 wings. Taking off, however, is a bit more distinctive, as the VTOL is created to swing back and forth to pick up momentum to launch upward. Specs allow for a lengthy 40-mile reach at 72 miles an hour. Older regulations restrict those numbers considerably for those who want to fly their personal aerial vehicles. I hope you're enjoying this ride into the future. If so, do not forget to like the video and hit the bell icon to never miss a video. Number 6. Terrafuga Transition. With fold-up wings and wheels, the Transition is another hybrid prototype designed to be both at home, on the ground, and in the air. That's not the only means that the Transition is an authentic hybrid model. It's fueled by a gasoline-electric hybrid drivetrain that has a boost mode for an additional burst of speed when traveling. In the year, the Transition was supposed to sell at $280,000, but these days the firm is avoiding providing a list price. It seems a little bit like a pipe dream, but remember that Terrafuga is under the ownership of Geely, a Chinese corporation whose expanding of portfolio of brands include Volvo, Lotus, Polestar, and many other reputed names. Number 5. AHang 184. When the AHang 184 first bestowed up at CES, it appeared pretty absurd. A personal quadcopter, VTOL, that was completely automated, entirely safe, comfortable, and fueled via a basic touchscreen network that anyone can handle. Honestly, it all appeared like so much vaporware with plenty of claims that couldn't be validated. These days, AHang is still producing some pretty absurd claims. For example, it's difficult to believe the corporation has tested its design more than 1,000 times in all types of circumstances. However, other details give us the motivation to believe that some variant of the AHang 184 will go into operation. AHang has particularized that each taxi will have a command station that will automatically ground the flying car in odd weather circumstances, and that the prototypes are primarily designed to travel in basic U shapes from one port to another, which seems much more in line with what other models are competent of. Number 4. Joby Aviation Air Taxi. After spending years sweating on personal aircraft, Joby Aviation lately received a heavy cash infusion from the likes of Toyota and Intel that grants $100 million to produce an electric air taxi. In December 2020, Joby declared it's obtaining Uber Elevate, the ride-sharing firm's flying taxi system. Joby's VTOL aircraft has a range of 150 miles and a prime speed of 200 miles per hour. 6 electric motors energize the flying machine, which can accommodate up to 5 people. Number 3. Jaunt Aviation's Helicopter Airplane Hybrid. Newbie Jaunt Aviation coupled with the Triumph Group to manufacture a flying taxi that resembles a crossbreed between a helicopter and a plane. The organization plans to discuss one of the major concerns associated with helicopters: noise. Utilizing proprietary technology, the aircraft decreases the speed of its main rotor while flying to remain comparatively muted. Jaunt may not be a house name, but it's one we're following. It has formed partnerships with some of the most prominent companies in the industry. Aviation Today published that Honeywell will implement navigation software, flight control technology, and an electric propulsion system, amongst other pieces of the puzzle. Number 2. Porsche Boeing Flying Taxi. Porsche and Boeing are associated to examine whether there is a business for flying taxis. The allies have their works cut out. They first need to decide out what luxury looks like in the flourishing sector and then discover how to deliver it effectively. International teams of engineers from both organizations have begun fine-tuning an idea previewed by a design of smooth-winged carrier with a warp-around windshield. The design is still in the budding stage, so the ultimate design could very well vary. But the firms believe in a vertical takeoff and landing vehicle that's entirely electric, fashionable, and innovative. They're operating on a model that will be tested in 2020. Number 1. Hyundai. Hyundai built a flying taxi department way back in September 2019. The company hasn't published an archetype yet, but it hired NASA expert Dr. Jaiwan Shin to initiate its entry into the segment. His expertise in the fields of electrification and advanced air traffic administration could give this South Korean firm an advantage as it tries to jump ahead of rivals. The new team at Hyundai will develop core technologies that will establish the company as a driving force in urban air mobility, a sector that is expected to grow into a market worth $1.5 trillion within the next 20 years, the company recorded in an announcement. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this futuristic ride, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.